Jim,
YouTube
right.
for Susan, Michelle, and Myrna, and I see
Hey,
we're live on YouTube. So Susan, Michelle,
yeah, I
this is
can't.
all yours.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes, we can
Yeah,
hear
but you
you.
know what? I can't. It says you cannot start your video because it is disabled by the host. So I can't seem to disable the video. That's what it says.
So can you just do audio? Is that okay, Myrna?
Yeah, but
it
why
should
can't
work now. I just re-abled it.
I?
Please
Okay.
try it
Yeah,
again.
why would I not be able to do that? Yeah, okay, now I can. Yeah,
Okay.
why would I want to do just audio? Okay, you're right.
Because yeah, when you first came in, you were on
Yeah, that's
video and I
fine. That's
didn't,
fine.
and
No,
we
I
were
just
watching
answered
video.
Susan's question. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
No,
anyway,
I want you on video, but I'm saying if
sorry.
you didn't have video, I'd rather have audio than nothing because I love our talks.
Yeah, no, I don't. But yeah,
Are
no,
we
just
going?
mm, okay, we're good.
Yeah, you're
All
live on
right.
YouTube.
Hi, this is Susan Michel. I am here in Western Massachusetts. It is great to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to embody the knowledge of. I have my good friend and soul sister from Boca Raton, Florida, here with me, Myrna Skoller, who is the author of Private Lessons with Jesus, which is a great companion to A Course in Miracles workbook for students. How are you doing today, Myrna?
Happy Thanksgiving, and after a Thanksgiving holiday, everything is settling back to normal. It's always so busy during this time. The people are just going everywhere, preparing and so forth. So everything's good.
Good, good, good. Um, I will start with the introduction of my book, Surrender to Joy, as I usually do, and see where we go from there. Anyone in the room who has any thoughts, please let us know. I'd love to hear your shares. So, in the introduction of Surrender to Joy, I write, my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection with all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. So, A Course in Miracles is very clear in its message that the satisfaction that most people look for in the world is not in the world. The satisfaction that we crave on a soul level, on a deep level, is within us. So it's about finding that sense of connection within ourselves first, and then going into the world to share that with our brothers. That's how joy is attained. So that's why it is very beneficial to start each day off from a place of peace. I love my meditations in the morning. They're very healing. It helps me to hear my inner guidance and start the day off from a centered place. To start the day off with a Course in Miracles lesson is very healing as well. Today, I will just open myself up to the lesson of the day. Let me see, because forgiveness lets me know that minds are joined. So today is the 336th day of 2025. So today, if you're going by the lesson of the year, is forgiveness lets me know that minds are joined, because we can only see our brother clearly when we can A, embody our own innocence, and B, see his or her innocence. And the way to feel that innocence is forgiveness. Forgiveness is really the foundational piece of A Course in Miracles, because when we hang on to grievances, when we hang on to resentments, we just can't see clearly. It's like we're looking at the world through the shades of the ego when we choose not to forgive. Forgiveness is our way out of hell. It's our way out of the egoic thought system and into that state of mind that resides in peace, love, joy, and happiness, which is our true state of mind. So when we can forgive our brother, we can feel our own innocence and we can feel our commonality with our brother, because Course in Miracles clearly states that God has but one son and we are all part of that same sonship. So it's not about feeling superior to our brother. It's not about feeling inferior to our brother. It's about knowing that we share the same mind. And again, you can't see the truth in your brother until you connect with his innocence. And the way to connect with his innocence is through complete forgiveness. A Course in Miracles clearly states that those of us who want total peace, those of you who want total peace, can only find this through forgiveness. So forgiveness is not about letting the other guy off the hook. It's not about that at all. It's about seeing the world clearly. It's about connecting our mind with the mind of God. Because when we can connect our mind with the mind of God, then we are going to feel the peace that is ours. And God exists in a state of unconditional love. God does not need to forgive us because God has never condemned us. However, we do need to forgive our brother. We do need to forgive ourselves, because there's a lot of condemnation and judgment, in our minds that we are here in this earthly classroom to learn to release. Right, Myrna?
Yes, this lesson today is so heavily predicated on forgiveness, and that's what the Course really is. Its main focus throughout the Course in Miracles is forgiveness. But then something happens, and I thought about that today, and I was thinking, those two National Guardsmen that were shot in Washington, and there's so much news about that. And you wonder, well, how do you forgive that? We're supposed to forgive, but yet how do we do that? And so I went within, and really kind of tried to sort that out. And, forgiving people who commit violent crimes doesn't mean condoning or accepting their actions. But instead, from A Course in Miracles viewpoint, forgiveness is about releasing the inner burden of anger, that inner burning and burden of anger. And that's what it's really all about, releasing the resentment or the hatred that those kinds of acts provoke in us. So this process, I think, is not about excusing the crime or denying justice, but about freeing ourselves from the cycle of pain and the retaliation that, that perpetuates that kind of suffering, and forgiveness is definitely a path to inner peace. It really is. If I hadn't studied forgiveness to the extent that I had, I probably would have been seething and burning and being, extremely upset about what happened. Of course, it's upsetting. There's no question about it. But there's a way to detach as well, not to condone it, if this person gets the death penalty, well, that's the price he's paying. But I'm not attached to that, you know? So, so it just, by holding on to grievances, even though we feel justified, it keeps us in an emotional turmoil. And so true forgiveness, according to the Course, is a gift that we give ourselves that allows us to reclaim our peace, even when the outer world may not change. Even when those, even though we're struggling to forgive, there's no doubt about that, to forgive violent offenders, Course in Miracles just encourages us to focus inwardly, to now focus and recognize that our own capacity for peace and we choose not to let another person's actions destroy our own inner well-being. And that's what it's all about, knowing how to separate the two, and it's important to note that forgiveness doesn't preclude the pursuit of justice or the protection of society. It's not about that, but we can forgive internally while still supporting, those harmful actions. Not supporting those harmful actions, I should say, and the teachings about forgiveness are all about healing our own hearts, our own minds, and not about the legal or the societal response to the crime. So while forgiving violent crimes is very, very difficult, the Course in Miracles approach to that emphasizes that forgiveness is about personal liberation from suffering. It doesn't require us to forget or excuse or enable violence, but I think it just invites us to seek a peace that can't be disturbed by the actions of others. That's what it's really all about. And this is a lifelong practice, I've found. And for many, as well as myself, a spiritual journey, a journey of compassion. That's really what it is, I suppose. Right, Susan?
Yeah. Well, A Course in Miracles is telling us that projection makes perception. So we are creating our own reality. So if there are actions taken against us that require forgiveness, maybe there is something in our minds that needs to be healed. That's why forgiveness is so important. I mean, in my mind too, it all goes down to that line that Dove loves to say, that I love to say too: triggers are our teachers. So when we get triggered in life, when someone does something to us that requires forgiveness, maybe this is the world showing us wounds within our own unconscious mind that needs to be healed. So by forgiving my brother, I'm forgiving myself, and I'm getting closer to God. I'm getting closer to the light. I'm getting closer to love, because this world is a classroom. We can never find complete peace while we are here on earth, because this world is not our home. A Course in Miracles, though, is teaching us to find complete peace in our mind. So I guess I don't know if I was 100% correct about that statement. We can find complete peace in the world, but we can find peace while we are here if we look inside for that peace, if we stop looking externally for that peace and we start looking within for that peace, that's where we will find the peace that our soul is craving. That's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us to do. The three fastest ways to heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is a state of mind that resides in peace, love, joy, and happiness. The three fastest ways to heaven, which is what we are all craving, whether we're aware of it or not. Acceptance, gratitude, and forgiveness. Acceptance is about accepting the situation that you're in totally and completely, not resisting it, just accept everything in your life as being perfect. Gratitude, we need to learn to be grateful because gratitude comes from a state of mind that is abundant. Gratitude comes from a state of mind that is compassionate and loving. So God does not need our gratitude because God has no ego to accept our gratitude with. But we need to connect to that character trait of gratitude to be able to remember the truth of who we are, because the truth of who we are is abundant. God gave everyone everything that they needed when they were born. So when we're grateful for everything that we have, we are remembering how much we have within us. Also, when we're grateful for what we have, the universe can give us more. Because again, we're always creating our own reality. So when we're grateful for what we have, the universe is sensing that. We're putting out abundant energetic vibrations, and then the world can just give us more. I remember years ago when I was in Manhattan, I was in this Big Brother, Big Sister program. I was the big sister, and I had two little sisters. They were at the Boys and Girls Club. And the first little sister was so grateful for everything that I gave her. I could give her something very small, like a Tootsie Roll, and she was just, so grateful for my gift. I could give her something bigger, like a game set or whatever, and she was just so grateful for my gift. And it was such a pleasure to give to this little girl because she loved everything that I got her, so it made me feel good. And then I adopted another little sister at the same Boys and Girls Club in Manhattan. The other little sister was the polar opposite. No matter what I got the other little sister, it wasn't good enough. If I got her a Tootsie Roll, she wanted a Snickers bar. If I got her a game, she wanted two games, or she wanted a bigger game. If I got the first little girl a gift, the second little girl would always get jealous. Well, you got her a gift and not me a gift, so the first little girl was just such a pleasure to give to. The second little girl, I didn't want to give her anything at all because I could never please her, and so the first little girl was coming from an abundant mindset. The second little girl was kind of coming from the mindset of lack. And who do you think I enjoyed giving to? Who do you think I gave more presents to? Girl number one, and you take that analogy. I mean, I think God singles out people, and people that have better character traits get more. But I think the universe gives to us what we project onto it. The world reflects back to us what is going on internally. So when we are grateful, the world reflects that back to us. So again, we are always creating our own reality. And I love that analogy too about the projector. If something is going wrong in your life, it's like being in a movie theater. If something is on the screen and it's not if there's dirt, if there's something on the screen that you don't like, you don't go up to the screen and try to change what's on the screen. You go to the projector to try to clean the dirt off the projector, you know, and the same is true in life. If there's something in our life that's not going exactly as we want it to, we don't go into the world and try to manipulate the circumstances. We go within. Okay, what thought system in my unconscious mind needs to be healed? What is it internally that needs to be healed? You know, that's the way to look at life, because again, the external world is always reflecting back to us an internal condition. So it's all about taking responsibility for our life. So that was the second character trait: acceptance, gratitude, and the most important character trait is what we've been talking about, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is our way out of hell into a mindset that is based on love. Forgiveness is the theme of A Course in Miracles. It is different than forgiveness that is taught in the traditional Christian church, as I say so often. I mean, forgiveness recognizes, I mean, this is key from A Course in Miracle. A core ACIM line on forgiveness is: forgiveness recognizes what you thought your brother did to you has not occurred. So it's not about overlooking a mishap. It's not about overlooking something. It's about seeing through. It's about realizing that it never even occurred. And it's a very radical view on forgiveness. It's very important not to feel superior to your brother in any way, because we all make mistakes. And if God can see through our mistakes, if God can, well, he never really forgives us, as I say, but if God can see through our mistakes, we can forgive our brother's mistakes. We can see through our brother's mistakes. And that's what looking at our brother with Christ consciousness really means. Right, Myrna?
Yeah, yes. And, you know, you talked about gratitude, which ties into that, because if you can't be grateful, if you don't have a grateful heart, then how could you be happy? You know, because then you're really completely focused in the world, the material things that you're missing in the world. It's all tied to the ego. I think gratitude is a very, very important lesson to learn. I kind of felt sorry for the little girl that was not feeling grateful that nothing was good enough. I mean, that little girl really can't be very happy. That was the thought that came to my mind, you know. So, you know, gratitude really arises from the recognition that, you know, that all gifts really come from God. I mean, everything comes, true gifts come from God. It's not about the material. It's not about the material world. It's about the, you know, the natural response to the awareness, you know, that we're loved, guided, that was supported by a higher power. You know, all of this. I mean, I absolutely have a lot of gratitude for all of that. I really do. I thank God every day for just for the fact that I'm given the wherewithal to be peaceful and to know how to find that peace. And so instead of, you know, focusing on external things or circumstances, you know, an inner attitude of thankfulness for all the spiritual realities that, you know, transcend the physical world. I'm grateful for that. Um, you know, it's a result also seeing others as yourself. You know, I think you said that your brother is yourself, all joined as one, and recognizing the interconnectedness to all of life. And forgiveness, as you pointed out, you know, we forgive, we let go of grievances, and we open our heart to gratitude. So by forgiving, I think being forgiving, we also open up to the natural, heartfelt gratitude that we're given to feel. And so I thank God for that. I do. Thankfulness for the guidance and help received is something that I never lose sight of, because that is really what leads to peace and healing. And certainly we've learned that, I've certainly come a long way in that learning, and to find my way towards peace and healing. And that was a very long, difficult road. Um, to travel, to transcend the ego, which was is not easy to do that. So I think, gratitude isn't tied to the personal wishes that we want or the material things that we want, but the realization that there's abundance and love, which is always available. The abundance of love is there's never a shortfall when it comes to that. So we really do have to practice gratitude, because it really is a path to healing and transformation. And it shifts perception from lack to abundance, from fear to love. So, it's the spiritual realization that comes from recognizing our connection to God, I believe, and each other and one another. And by focusing on gratitude for what is eternal, because what is eternal is true. If it's not eternal, it isn't true. So, I think we come to experience a deeper sense of peace and joy through gratitude. So I kind of like that, right, Susan?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I know. Gratitude is basically just very, very important. And then Dove wrote in the chat room, based on what we were talking about 15 minutes ago, I am not a body, needs healing, the world is not real, needs healing, the world and body is an attack against love. That's what A Course in Miracles is telling us throughout the text, that we are not a body. And that is difficult. I mean, we all know that as Course in Miracles students, but being in the world, it is very difficult to digest that, because when your body isn't feeling well, it's hard to be at peace. But again, we can't find satisfaction in our body, because the truth of who we are is spirit. When we see someone else as a body, we're not really seeing the truth of that person at all. When you see someone through the eyes of Christ, you're basically seeing the soul of that person. You're seeing beyond the body. You're seeing the commonality between you and the other person. I like those analogies that I use quite often. God is the sun, and we are all rays of sun coming from that light. So when you get to the core of me and the core of you, we are the same. So when we can feel our commonality with our brother, that's when we can really connect with God wholeheartedly. And then Dove wrote, true forgiveness is waking from the dream, you know. And that reminds me of the row, row, row your boat song. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. So this is a dream that we're all having. I guess a Course in Miracles is teaching us how to make it a happier dream. It's still a dream, but while we're here on earth, if we connect with the ego, we're basically we can make our life into a nightmare. If we can connect with the truth of who we are, we can make it a happy dream while we learn our lessons in this earthly classroom. Course in Miracles tells us we all came down here to learn. We can learn through joy or we can learn through pain. Why not learn through joy? It's so much more fun. And then after the lessons are learned, then we can go home to heaven, gently discard the body and go home to heaven. And again, that's what A Course in Miracles is teaching us. And then Dove asked me a question about the story I told about the two little girls. He said, question, Susan, what about the second girl reminded of a property about you? So because everyone in our life is our teacher, what was that second girl who I couldn't satisfy reflecting back to me about myself? So at the time, there was, and I'm sure it might still be within me, there was a part of me that thought that nothing was ever good enough. There was a part of me that felt entitled to more. There was a part of me that felt like nothing I received was good enough. It's true to see that the external world is always providing a lesson for you to learn from is a very intelligent, astute way to look at life, because everything that we see in this world is mirroring something back to us. And it's not about blaming myself. It's not about condemning myself. It's just becoming aware of what needs healing. So, life is interesting, isn't it? Life is very interesting. I went into ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT about gratitude. So I must tell you, I just love ChatGPT. I know it's not 100%, but it's just like so amazing. I just discovered this, I think a couple months ago. So what ChatGPT told me about gratitude is, in A Course in Miracles, gratitude is not about thanking God for specific blessings or external gifts. It's much deeper and more spiritual. Gratitude in ACIM is the natural response to remembering the truth of who you are. I really like that. I really like that. It's the natural response for remembering the truth about who you are, because God gave everything to us when we were born. So everything that we think we are looking for in the external world is not the external world. That satisfaction that we are seeking externally cannot be found externally. It can only be found within. So it's about remembering the truth of who we are and being grateful for the fact that we have so much abundance within us, and it's about really embodying that mindset. And it is the truth, when we are coming from a grateful mind, we are connected to God, we are connected to the truth. I also think it's a discipline, because we have a choice. We can connect to the mindset that's based on gratitude, or we can, go into that egoic thought system that's always wanting more and more and more, so there is a discipline involved. And then it says here in my little ChatGPT, Gratitude is appreciation for the truth. You are grateful because you remember you are loved, safe, and whole in God. I mean, that's very beautiful. I mean, it goes hand in hand with so many other core Course in Miracles theme, like trust. What is trust? To rely upon spirit totally, so this is us remembering that we are safe and loved and always provided for. It is unconditional. Gratitude is unconditional. It doesn't come from getting something in the world, but from recognizing what cannot be taken away. Because whenever we set a goal on attaining something of the world, most of us, when we attain that thing we are going after, there is a sense of satisfaction when we get it, but that sense of satisfaction is fleeting. It doesn't last. It is temporary. Then we continue to want more and more and more. So gratitude is just I think it's a quality that when we can connect to it, it just becomes a part of who we are. Gratitude reinforces your connection with the Holy Spirit. The more you practice gratitude, the more you shift from fear to love. Gratitude acknowledges shared innocence. You become grateful for your brothers because they help you awaken by showing you your own projections. I mean, everything is tied in together so nicely. Gratitude and trust and forgiveness. I mean, it's all based on love. And whenever we can connect to any of these qualities that are based on love, we are connecting to God, and we are going to feel the truth of who we are, which is peace, love, joy, and happiness. And the opposite is always also true. Whenever we don't connect with that state of love, whenever we allow the ego to run our life, then we go to that umbrella that is based on fear, and there is no happiness over there. So again, A Course in Miracles is teaching us to come from a place of unconditional love more and more often, not to score brownie points and get on God's good side, but because that's where our happiness lies, right, Myrna?
Absolutely. As long as you're feeling peaceful, however we find it, um, that's what we need to live by. I mean, that's what we're really seeking, aren't we? We talked about the body. I am not a body. I am free, as the Course says, I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. So, the body really, according to A Course in Miracles, is just a projection of the mind. And, and you talk about sickness also, so much the illness originates in the mind. I really believe that all sickness really starts in the mind. That's because we're not at peace, we're not healed, and we're sort of using the sickness, I always believe, as an escape almost, because it proves that the body is real. The ego needs to prove that the body is real, whereas the Course is telling us you're not a body, so if you're not a body, how can you be ill? Um, and this separation, this type of separation, separating, we try to heal the separation. We don't want to feel separated from God. But if we do feel that way, then we are feeling guilty, and that gives rise to conflict, and that's projected onto the body in the form of illness, of physical symptoms. So sickness, as I said, can serve as a defense mechanism in a way. It's seen as a way for the mind to distract itself from deeper or emotional, spiritual issues. By focusing on the body and its ailments, we become, I think it's all, in a way, confronting guilt, fear, a sense of unworthiness, perhaps, which is the real source of suffering. It's not the body that's suffering, but it's really the sense of what goes on in the mind that's causing the suffering. So we don't want to suffer. We really want to heal. We want to, and this again, you mentioned forgiveness, and this is all achieved through forgiveness. So it doesn't merely mean to forgive others, in a conventional sense, but it just involves releasing judgment and the belief in separation. So when the mind is healed, when it lets go of guilt and fear, I think the physical symptoms are are also believed to disappear as well. I think that plays a big part in the healing of the body as well. Once the mind is healed, recognizing that we're not separated, that gives way to healing of the body as well. And then we're shifting, aren't we? We're shifting from fear to love when that happens. When we can feel completely forgiving, grateful, accepting, as you say, we're shifting from fear to love. And that those shifts are really so much a part of the healing process. We are encouraged really to recognize the inner power. We have the inner power to choose love over fear, and to really just see sickness as a call for help, really, or as a call for healing of the mind. That's really what it is. So, you know, true healing really comes from aligning with love and practicing forgiveness and recognizing the unity of all of us, all beings as one. We're all connected as one consciousness. So, yeah. Any thoughts about that, Susan, about sickness and healing?
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Sickness basically is when the body, I guess, acts out when it feels separate, guilty, and alone. But we are never separate when we are feeling less than, we have connected to the egoic thought system. A Course in Miracles says that the separation occurred when the Son of God remembered not to laugh. I think that's such a poignant line because our true state is one of joy. Our true state is one of laughter. Our true state is light. It's a very high vibratory frequency. We have nothing to fear. And when we started to feel separate, it's when we remembered not to laugh. That's why laughter is so healing. That's why laughter is so important. I've heard numerous stories about the healing effects of laughter. There was this one story, it might be in The Secret, the documentary or the book, that there was a patient, a man who was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and he refused to give in to the illness. So every night he put on funny movies and he laughed. And he went into remission. He cured himself of cancer. I also know a friend that happened to. She had stage 4 breast cancer, and she refused to, I think they diagnosed her with a few months to live, and she refused to give in to it. And she started to laugh, and her body healed. That's why, the laughter is so positive, and it's so joyful, and it's so fun. And I always see, feel like the entity of God has a really great sense of humor, because when we are laughing, we are connecting to the truth of who we are. And I think it's just amazing at how many beneficial effects laughter actually has. So sickness is the opposite of that. Sickness is the body's way of acting out. Sickness is the body taking on a negative character trait that exists in our mind. It says sickness comes from the mind, not the body. And it's not about blaming ourselves for being sick. I think it's about, I guess, trying to uncover what lesson we need to learn, try to uncover what it is within ourselves that needs to be healed, because we all get sick at times. So again, it's not about blaming, it's not about judging, it's not about condemning, it's about learning from, okay, what is the universe trying to teach me from this? ACIM teaches that all sickness begins as a thought of separation, a belief that we are vulnerable, guilty, or alone. The body simply reflects the mind's choice. And then sickness is a defense strategy of the ego. The ego uses sickness to make the separation seem real, prove that the body is weak and needs protection, keep you focused on form instead of spirit, distract you from inner healing and the awareness of God's love. Again, sickness it's not a punishment. It's just a indication that there is some negative pain point within our mind that needs to be healed. So sometimes in my own life, when my body gets sick, like a cold or something like this, I think it's my body's way of telling me that I need to slow down, that I need to rest, that I need to pause. But we're always learning. This world is a classroom, and there's always lessons to learn. And as you so wisely say so often, Myrna, everything in life is a lesson or a blessing. And the blessings are fun. The lessons are teaching us valuable insights that we need to know. Yeah. Any thoughts, Myrna?
Well, you talked about laughter, and the person that was healed from cancer by through laughter. And what do they say? They say that laughter is the best medicine, and for good reason, I think. It's a human experience that I think offers so many wonderful physical and has so many physical, psychological, social benefits as well. They say that even scientists and healthcare professionals have studied the effects of laughter on health, and it does have a profound healing power, because I've read about that. And when you're laughing, you're feeling so good. I mean, you really feel as if there's just the body feels so healed just by, um, being in that state where you're laughing, it's so restorative. It's such a wonderful quality. So, yeah, I think it reduces stress. It just, I really think that it does boost the immune system when you can laugh, and especially when you mentioned this man that had cancer. How many people are really laughing that way, with cancer, when you think about it? But it's really the way to go, because I would think that it increases the production of immune cells and antibodies, they say, and somehow you become more resilient. I know when I'm laughing, I feel resilient. I really do. And it's such a good feeling to just concentrate on that. We don't think about that enough. And the course really doesn't mention too much about laughter, but it talks about joy. I think perhaps maybe laughter does lead to joy. And, I think it's just so relaxing. It talks about relieving physical tension as well. So I like that. I like to be released from the negative emotions, and I like that it. Oh, excuse me, that was my phone. I just shut that off. And it does. It just releases us from all those emotions that really cause us to be sick. And I think that I think negative emotions do cause illness, because it keeps us away from the reality, the power that we have to heal. And it's really such a light hearted mindset, really, when you think about it, that is just a wonderful way to forget, forget the ailments or the difficulties that we might be experiencing. So, and shared laughter is nice, isn't it? I love to be around people who can make me laugh. Don't you just love people who can make you laugh? I think it really does. Somehow it just it breaks the ice in a way as well. It makes conversations more enjoyable, less tense. And yeah, there's a lot of focus on that. There really is. If you kind of look it up in Chat GBT, there'll probably be a lot about laughter, and and the physical benefits that it has for us. Anyway, yeah.
Dove wrote in the chat room, in your gentle laughter, healing happens.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it's in that, because I think laughter, it's just a high energetic frequency. It's there's no fear in laughter, Fear contradicts laughter, because laughter is joyful, laughter is loving, laughter is trusting. um yeah, it's just so incredibly healing, and I think most psychologists and psychiatrists would agree with that as well. So, and then Dove wrote, bingo, serious comes from fear. Yeah, yeah, and we have a choice. We have a choice at each and every moment. That's again, A Course in Miracles is mind training. A Course in Miracles is teaching us mental discipline. A Course in Miracles is teaching us to focus on the love, to focus on the laughter, to focus on the beauty, because we have a choice at each and every moment. I mean, look at people in your life. I know certain people. I mean, again, it's not black or white. It's not about, good or bad. I mean, there's no one's perfect, but there are certain people in my life that are lighter, that are more grateful, that are focused on love and compassion and empowerment. And that's the energy that I'm drawn to. And that there's other people in my life, that are more connected with victim consciousness. And I see the difference. It's not that one is better than the other, but the one that's focused on love and light and compassion is just, it's happy, it's clear. And people that are enmeshed in victim consciousness, it's just a lower, denser energy. I think of when we're talking about laughter, I'm thinking of one of my favorite movies, with one of my favorite comedians, Bruce Almighty, with Jim Carrey and Jennifer Aniston and Morgan Freeman. I mean, Jim Carrey is just, I think, such a wonderful comedian. And there was so much depth in that movie. There was so much to learn from that movie. But then Jim Carrey made the whole movie just so fun to watch because it was just really a funny movie. But there was such a clear point to the movie. I mean, I did plug that into ChatGPT, and what I got from ChatGPT is the core lesson of Bruce Almighty can be summed up in one powerful idea. You don't need God's power, you need God's perspective. Because in the middle of that, or in the beginning of that movie, Morgan Freeman played God, and he gave the power of God to Jim Carrey, who was so at first so kind of amazed and happy that all this power belonged to him. But then all of a sudden the power became overwhelming, and he didn't want the pressure anymore, and then he actually tried to use God's power to make Jennifer Aniston love him, and he couldn't make her love him because we are all given free will down here on earth. God cannot make us love him. He leaves it up to us. And if we choose to love him, that's where our peace, love, joy, and happiness lies. I mean, there are just so many amazing lessons to learn from that movie. It's an extremely spiritual movie. And from what I understand, or I guess I know that Morgan Freeman is a Course in Miracles student because my husband and I listen to him every morning on YouTube, and he recites A Course in Miracles. And then Dove mentioned that Jim Carrey is also a Course in Miracles student, which is really interesting, you know? But again, if anyone hasn't seen that movie, it's an extremely spiritual, enlightening movie, basically teaching us that God exists in all acts of kindness. Anything that comes from love is a miracle. So there are miracles all around us every day. And it's when we can focus upon the kindness, that's when we will begin to see God in everything.
Now, if
So,
you like Jim Carrey, I would suggest a movie that I loved him in. It's called The Majestic. Did you ever see The Majestic? He was.
no.
It's a wonderful movie, I thought. He also. I think it's a feel good movie as well. Hi, Sora.
Hi, Sora. So I will now end with the introduction of A Course in Miracles. Thank you, Myrna. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I always love my time here and Gather. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Only the love is real. I will now return the microphone to Lynn, who I believe is turning the microphone over to Sora.
All right. Thanks you guys so much. And love your session. Wonderful, wonderful sharing. And Love you both so much. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and shut